Hello again, Algebra 1 students. Welcome to Unit 3, Week 1, Discrete Function Syllabus. We are in Tier 2, Lesson 1a, Writing Functions with FX Notation and our Operators. So let's check off our booklet. Let us start by looking at linear functions. And all that means is we're looking at functions that are lines. Okay, typically the mathematical notation used for a function is f of x. What this notation is saying is that the function f is being evaluated at x. In other words, plug x into the function f. Therefore, when we're working with functions, we want to think of it in this manner. We have an input, which is x, that gives us an output, which is f of x. For example, for every hour you work, you get paid $10. X is the number of hours you worked. F of x is the money you get paid. So x, the number of hours of work, is the input, and the output is the money you get paid, or f of x. So how would we write a function for this example? Well, we would say f of x, the amount of money I make, is equal to $10 times x, or however many hours I worked. So let's suppose I worked 5 hours. So I would take f, and I want to know if I worked 5 hours for x, would equal 10 times 5, or $50. What if you were paid $56? How many hours did you work? Well, we would have to set that up to solve it, and we know that the amount we're paid is the output, or the f of x, so that would go on this side of this equation, and then 10x, and then we would just solve for the x. To solve for x, we divide both sides by 10. When solving equations, think of the equal sign as a balancing point. So 56 divided by 10 is 5.6 equals x. So if you got paid $56, you knew that you worked 5.6 hours. When we think of these relationships, each input and output is thought as a variable because the numbers can change. There are two types of variables. There's the dependent variable that changes in response to the independent variable. The independent variable, in our cases, are our inputs. Those are variables that aren't dependent on anything. So when we take an x value and plug it into a function, we're just grabbing that x value. It's not dependent. So the input or the domain are the independent variables. And then the dependent variables are the outputs, which is the range. And as you remember, the domain deals with x values, and the range deals with our y values. So let's come down here. So here's our function, f of x equals x plus 3. Here's our input. So what we want to do is we want to plug in the input wherever we see x in this function equation. So the input goes there, and the input goes there. So this is saying the function f evaluated at 3 equals 3 plus 3, which is 6. So our independent variable is what we're plugging in, and our dependent variable is what is coming out. Let's do that again. We're going to take 4 and put it into g wherever we see an x. So this is saying the function g evaluated at 4. So that means 4 minus 2 equals 2. And with multiplication, it's similar. We take the 5 and we put it in anywhere we see x. So we have h evaluated at 5 equals 4 times 5, which gives us an output of 20. And then lastly, with division, we take our input 15 and we put it anywhere we see x. So this is saying the function t evaluated at 15, so we get 15 divided by 5, which gives us an output of 3. So just to be clear, independent variables are our inputs, which is our x values, which belong in our domain. And our dependent variables are our outputs, which are y values, which belong in our range. Good luck on the rest of your practice sets.